Welcome, everybody, to another episode of our message recap. We do a message every week, and we like to do these because there's more than 11 minutes that we can unfold in one topic. So here we are for another message recap. Kevin, you spoke this past week. And
this is a difficult one to recap because we did a couple of things on Sunday.
Yeah.
One was the transition between I am no longer the leader of this church. Shaheen is now the leader, and I just want to congratulate him again. And this isn't because I was nice. This is because he's earned the position and proven himself. The Bible says to be tested, and he's definitely been tested, and he's been proven to be able to do this. And so we're really happy about that.
Thank you.
Very happy about that. But before we did that, we did talk about, which I felt was, I was really thinking about if there was one message, and there's always more than one. But if there was one message that would really be the most important for the church gathering, what would that message be? Not for individuals, there's a lot of them, but for the church gathering is unity. And we talked about unity.
Yeah.
And how I think a lot of times we forget or we miss how important that was to Jesus.
Yeah.
Unity. And we covered John 17 where he's praying to his Father before he goes, and just how it was his passion. Hey, this church thing that's going on, Father, empower them, give them your glory, your presence, your power, for one reason, to be unified. And it's funny we don't hear more sermons on that.
Yeah.
You know, that his power, for a great life, or his presence, for this or that. And Jesus was more concerned about the church going forward being unified, being together, than anything else.
Yeah. Well, and I like how you even, with the transition between the two of you, feel like that was a good message for that event. Just another encouragement to everybody about the importance of being unified as a church.
Yeah, and what keeps us from being unified so oftentimes is our own preferences about things. They're not even important matters. And you know what? I think if you've been around church for very long, you're totally aware of this. As a matter of fact, maybe even you've been a person that's, I'm leaving that church because I don't like how he dresses. It's that, boy, did I just say that sarcastically? It can be that ridiculous. It really can.
I'm sure that exact scenario has happened before.
We had somebody leave the church when we changed the name.
Yeah. Because we changed the name of the church.
Wow. Literally only because of the name change. So,
wow. And we made this point on Sunday. Who cares what we call it? Who cares? The mission is all that matters.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we will never be the same. We're never going to like the same things. So many people think unity is we agree on everything. No, we don't have to agree on everything. We have to agree on one thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
The mission.
I thought that was a good point that you brought up because, number one, it's just impossible to agree on everything. That's just realistically impossible. But, you talked about in the online message and in person was this idea that actually some of that stuff is good. It's what makes us unique. It's some of those differences in the things that don't matter as much as the mission. And I think that was difficult for me to understand years ago, and I think it's difficult still for people to grasp. Unity doesn't mean sameness.
Right.
So, I don't know. I appreciated that point. We don't have to be the same, literally.
Thank God we don't have to be.
Thank God. I do not want to go sit in a tree in the woods.
Well, we weren't meant to be. We weren't meant to be the same.
Yep. And we can even have different passions of aspects of Christianity. And that's good. That's what's called the body of Christ. We shouldn't all be passionate about the same issue. We work together for the main issue.
Yeah.
But I sometimes wonder, we've talked about this a lot. I sometimes wonder what God feels like when he just looks at this thing, the church that Jesus left, and he's so pleased with so much of it. But I just wonder, God on his throne looks and just sees the division and the arguing and, the splits, the non-efficiency of the church in America, let alone the world. And he just must go why? And we know that the Apostle Paul addressed some people that were disunified. these two women that worked in ministry with him. He loved them, and they were great, but they were in disunity. And he was telling Timothy to straighten them out. Like, hey, he never asked what it was that they were
who was
arguing
right
about.
or wrong.
He didn't care who was right, who was wrong. He didn't even ask what the issue was. The point was, be unified.
Mm-hmm.
Get over your stuff and be unified.
Yep.
What would your guys' encouragement be to somebody who maybe is frustrated at church because of a preference? Because that's a real thing that happens, and people, I feel, very often hop ship because of things like that. So I guess what would your encouragement be if something really is bothering somebody, but it falls along that preference line?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I would say, first of all, talk to me about it now.
Yeah.
That would be just schedule a meeting. A private one-on-one would be awesome. My door's open, sort of thing. On some of the other, this will be different depending on what the issue is. But I know I've had several things over the year. I remember I told you on Sunday, I've had some of those, complaints or whatever. Mm-hmm. What I have noticed is a lot of the time, if I just don't react, if I just stay calm, spend time with God, kind of this too shall pass attitude.
Yeah.
I realized that what I was super, bothered about or really hot on at one point, a couple weeks later, isn't as big of an issue anymore.
Yeah.
So again, that might not be for everything all the time, but I think that's generally
first step.
Just calm down.
Yeah. Kind of first step, ride the wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing's permanent.
I would say if you are in a church right now, even in this one, and you're really struggling with something, you don't agree with what's going on, I think, number one, just go to the leader and say something. And I made it very clear on Sunday. You say your piece, you say your opinion, because that's your obligation. You have to do that. But then you let it go. And I would say this, thank God you're not in the position that you have to make all the decisions. And I mean that. Just be thankful you don't have to make all the decisions because, just because we think we're right, armchair quarterback kind of stuff, looking ahead, the church should do this or church should do that, or we should do it this way. Man, how much of that is just our preference? Just thank God you're not the one. Say, hey, I voiced my opinion and let it go. They got to answer to God.
Yeah.
But I'm still, I'm still here. I'm still supporting. As a matter of fact,
I still have to answer to God for my unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Exactly.
the decision that's made.
Hey,
but
that's what I got to answer to God for is this idea of, taking your marbles and going home or going somewhere else. And I'm going to say this really nicely, gently, and lovingly. Grow up. You got to grow up.
Yeah.
We're not 8 years old. Okay. You work together as iron sharpens iron. So one man sharpens another.
Yeah.
As tension, we always say go or grow. It's because if you choose to go over situations that don't go your way, you will not grow, because growth takes tension. I mean, when you build your muscles, it takes tension to do that. And you have to struggle with that tension to mature, to grow up beyond that. We live in a culture, we just want to run from difficulties, and you know what? And nobody grows up. And we have to grow up as a church.
You can't have both.
You cannot run and grow and mature. You can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
So let me ask kind of a little bit of the other side of the equation then. Unity is so important. We know Jesus prayed for that. Kind of number one thing to accomplish the mission. You and I have talked about this, but are there any reasons to not have unity then?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you're not stuck in an abusive situation, okay? You're not. But I would say this, to make sure that if you're thinking of leaving a church, it's over a very important doctrinal issue and not a preference. I made it very clear on Sunday. I'm behind you and this church 100%, and I know you're different than me, and I know we're going to do things different. And I know I'm going to be bugged by somebody like, well, that's not important. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's about this church winning. It's about God winning through this church. And so the whole idea of, just submitting to that is, I forgot what I was talking about.
Why what are good reasons
to
not be
submitting
unified?
to that until if you were to make a doctrinal change, and I'm not even every doctrine, crucial ones. Mm-hmm. And I think there's just 4 or 5 that are crucial. I mean, I really do. If you said that Jesus was only one of many ways to God, I would have to say I wouldn't run right away. I would try to influence. I would pray, because God's movement in this area is important, and we don't want to bail on it. But if you were unwilling to change that, I couldn't support that.
Yeah.
Or, if you change the mission that the whole reason the church is here is to give coats to children who are cold. No, that's not our mission, And if you were to change that. But I try to make it clear, and I really believe this, that you can reword things, you can change things, as long as those main doctrinal principles of Christianity remain. Everything else can change. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, everything else has to change, or we would be in the dark ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe more Christians, mature Christians, keep the church from being more effective as time goes on than any pastor ever has.
Yep.
And that's because we as mature Christians feel so strongly about the way we like it. Yep. And that has stopped. I believe Christianity would be way further where it is today in America if it wasn't for mature Christians refusing to change.
Well, we just get hung up on the things that we prefer. We forget of our asking ourselves a question, is the mission the same? Well, if it is, forget everything else. Mm-hmm. Forget everything else. Doesn't matter.
Really? And if he makes some real bonehead decisions,
I will.
Hey, you know what? Like I said Sunday, and I thank God my dad taught me this growing up. It's better to try something to be better and fail at it than to never just stay where you are. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. Hey, let's try everything. There are so many things that haven't been tried yet that might be more effective. Let's try them before we criticize them. Yep.
You have anything else to add?
Nope.
Just unity.
United
we stand.
Divided
we fall. And you can watch that message. It'll pop up here on the screen in just a second. We will be back next week with another message recap. As always, thanks for joining us. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day.